Hello,
Hi.
how are you? Very early in the morning for us. Very
Hello.
cold.
You there?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. We are having zero degrees today. It's
Okay, how are
freezing.
you?
Good. You?
Yeah, great. I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah, everything is good. So, yeah, we're waiting for our friends and colleagues to join us. What have you been doing? Tell me, dear Carol.
Well, in Argentina at the moment we are finishing the first semester, so we are having lots of final exams and midterm exams and any kind of
Are
exams.
are they all online?
Yes, everything online. Every single thing.
Great. Yeah,
Fine.
yeah. And it is summer in Iran. I don't know if you know or not, but the whole summer is off for schools. This is a routine for Iran. We have 3 months off for all the students. They don't go to schools. Yes, for 90 days. Yeah,
That's a lot. Oh no, we
of
don't have
course, it's a lot. Yeah.
we stop, well, teachers go longer, like we stop December 20 something and we go back beginning of February. It's like a month and a half. And good students, the students that don't fail, they kind of have December, January, and part of February off. Yeah. But
Oh,
only the ones
so
who didn't take exams.
it's somehow similar. So in
Uh-huh.
Argentina. Yeah, great. And we also have another 15 or 20, between 15 to 20 days off for the new year.
Oh, we have that
Yeah,
too.
this must be added to that 3 months. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you count all of them with the weekends and something like that, we Iranian people have about 5 months off during the
But it's
year.
that's not true. It's not off. Teachers keep working because
Of
we
course,
work.
teachers keep working, but the students don't go to school for 5 months. Yeah, just
Yeah.
7 months a year. They go to school and 5 months they are off. Yeah, that's
Wow.
something interesting. That very interesting. Yeah.
So
Okay,
you're
so
you're doing
yeah,
You're doing all these live sessions during your vacation?
somehow yes. Yeah, not always, but yeah, to some extent, yes, we do. We teachers do actually here. And you know that because of the coronavirus, it is increasing also in my country. It is increasing heavily in Iran, so some cities in Iran are going to be off for a week or so. So this is the major problem that nowadays all of us are actually struggling and dealing with it, and we have to control and manage the situation by wearing our masks. But because our live talk is online, yeah, it is not needed to wear masks. Yeah,
Definitely. Definitely.
exactly.
Are you going
So
back, are you going back to
yeah.
school face to face anytime soon?
Would you please repeat?
Yes. Are you going back to school face to face anytime soon?
Uh, we don't know what will happen, but the Ministry of Education has announced that every other day a student should go to school. Every other day, yeah, 3 times a week online and 3 times a week uh, they should go to schools. But
Okay.
we are not sure what will happen in the future. But this is the plan that has just announced by the Ministry of Education in Iran.
Okay. Well,
Okay,
we don't
great.
know yet.
So yeah, exactly. It's we don't know what will happen. There is no definite cure for this. So we are all waiting. I don't know what to do, but just learning and teaching continues, whether online or not. We're doing our best. Maybe the effectiveness of online classes are not as much as when learners come to our classes, but this is the way that I don't know, we have to keep it up.
Yeah, no other way.
Great. Yeah. Okay, so dear Carol, let's talk about our topic. We're going to talk about grammar. Yeah, am I right?
Yes, the
Yeah,
topic. Everybody wants to talk
exactly.
about grammar.
Yeah, everybody wants to talk about grammar and everybody wants to escape from grammar, actually. Yeah,
Yes, yeah,
because, okay, so can you talk about your own experience of teaching grammar, I don't know, or learning grammar, or your learners, how do they deal with it, or how do they react when you open the book, you move and turn over pages? There are a lot of skills that are being taught and actually put into that course book, but and learners love them. But when it comes to grammar, they say, wow, again, grammar, teacher, I don't like it, I cannot use it, or whatever challenges that every learner actually faces with grammar. Could you please explain about your own experience?
okay. Well, dealing with grammar is it's a very, very tough topic to deal with because it really depends on everything you can imagine. I always say that teaching is deciding, and it's you who should decide whether grammar is important or not, whether you should teach it explicitly or not, whether you should focus on grammar or not. And I know I have ideas, and depending on the courses I teach, I decide. For example, in the group I have in high school, they come to me after 4 years studying English at
Yeah,
school for 3 2 hours a week, but they don't master anything. They don't have the skills. They can't speak. They can't produce language. They have
I know.
learned, let's
What
say,
do you
for
mean? Yep.
example, yes, they have been able to fill in gaps and put verbs in the right form, but they can't, for example, focus on meaning, like tell me their routine. They can't tell me their routine, either speaking or writing. They can't. They can't produce, or they
Yeah.
can't talk about actions happening at the moment. So I don't see a point in going on like teaching, I don't know, past continuous or whatever that should be taught at that level because it's more of the same. So
Yeah.
but this is because the principal of the school supports me. Because in some cases, teachers don't have the freedom to choose. Also, well, if you
Yes.
don't have the freedom to choose, teach grammar communicatively. Teach it well, at
Mm-hmm.
least. And when I say that, I think this is something I teach my students in ELT classes. It's kind of backward design. First, you need to
Yes.
think of the aim of whatever you have to teach, because all grammar serves a purpose. Grammar doesn't go around like, hey, that's grammar. So what,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's always a function. It has to be a function, like talking about something, talking, writing, speaking, whatever skill. If you don't learn to do something with the language, we have a problem. Especially for beginners and public schools, that's my main concern. Because in language schools, maybe your school, some students go because they want to learn English. And that's enough. They are all kind of motivated. So maybe that's a little benefit you have. But in the place where I work, they are forced to study English. They don't want to. It's a subject in the curriculum. So
Yes.
focus on the aim. Let's say the aim is talking about, I don't know, people. And then you say, okay, what language do they need to talk about people? Adjectives, verb to be, whatever. But you don't need to make it so explicit. They don't even need to know the form, the third person, not that much, because it's not motivating for beginners or false beginners. So you present the topic, and this is something I insist on. You deal with a global presentation that is expose students to a text that contains the grammar you want to deal with. Expose
Yep.
means a video, a dialogue, or a text. I would choose video because it's more like young people. They are video consumers, so it's closer. So they watch
Mm-hmm.
this video as a listening, viewing thing, like call questions, identifying who they are, or depending on what you deal with. And then you isolate teaching points. This is the moment you teach officially. So you take a
Yes.
sentence from the text you're dealing with, you put it on the board, and you do all the grammar explanation on that sentence, like auxiliaries or word order. But you need to focus on one or two things. You can't teach everything there is to say about, for example, talking about plans. The marker sentence is, I'm going to have pizza with friends. You can't teach
Mm-hmm.
like the plural, like the going to, the auxiliary, like it's too much. So some things you teach as chunks. I'm going to, it's a chunk. Forget the auxiliary, forget the ing. Just I'm going to and focus on verbs, the new verbs they need to talk about future plans. So you deal with that
Yeah.
grammar as vocabulary. And
Mm-hmm.
after that, the board is beautifully, and you elicit the function from them. What is this for? You can use your mother tongue if you want. Talking about plans, when they identify the function, you start practicing from control to not so controlled until they can talk about their plans. If they can't talk about their plans, so something went wrong. So you present someone talking, the end of the sequence is you talking.
Yeah.
Because production should mirror presentation. So it's not about writing sentences. Write sentences if you want, but then tell me, or act out, or perform something. So a good sequence teaching grammar communicatively exposes students to language through global presentation. You deal with the grammar in the middle, and then they produce similarly. That'll be what I recommend.
Yeah, great. But to the best of my experience, learners always escape from that, and there are a minimum number of learners who would like to know something more about grammar. And when you explain them, I think, as you told me, you should put the theory into practice. This is very important for learners to actually define the final goal. The ultimate goal of learning is just using what you've learned. But mostly learners can only answer the questions on paper, just written questions. And this is not the real life. You should put them in the real life situation where they can use actually that grammar point to serve a purpose, to meet a need actually. But I told you that most grammar books, most books actually just present the grammar, and there are not some activities actually to activate that knowledge, to use whatever they have learned. And this is the time, as our topic mentions, as our topic is, the time that it's the responsibility of the teacher to bring some more extensive and some extra actually materials to the classroom so that they can activate that knowledge. So yeah.
One thing is when you teach beginners to reach the threshold level, like beginners, and in that case, grammar should be secondary, just support communication. And another thing is students who already speak the language and want to focus on grammar, and they actually deal with grammar books, like the grammar, and in that case, it's grammar focus, and it should be like that. If you prepare students to sit for international examinations, you have to focus on grammar. There's no way out, and it has to have the name it has. It's like explicit. That's why it depends on it's all about who you're teaching and what for. Everything changes.
Yes.
But I think that you need variation. Whatever you decide to do, maybe in Iran it's like here, we have like 30 weeks all together for the whole school year. And in 30 weeks, you need to balance grammar lessons and something else lessons. And in the something else lessons, that's when you bring your own material. I give you an example. Imagine you have brochures from your trips around the world. So you bring the brochures to class, and that's authentic. And people want to do things. I have a bucket list. Who doesn't have a bucket list? What you want to do or what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So you can tell them something about yourself, and then after dealing with the grammar you need to deal with, they can tell you something about themselves, and that's okay. They like it, and that's grammar too. It doesn't need to say auxiliary plus infinitive or whatever in order to become grammar. You can deal with the grammar through communication. I think that's more meaningful for them to remember too.
Exactly. But Carol, you've mentioned the course books, actually the course books at the schools. In Iran, the course books are not actually designed for communicative purposes. They are just full of some sentences. They are prefabricated sentences. They are mostly out of a real world situation. So that's why when students start learning English at the age of about 12, at 7th level at a school. So after 6 years, at the age of, I told you, between 12 to 13, our course books starts teaching English. But after studying for about 6 years of learning and studying such a kind of books, they cannot even make a single sentence. Why? Because books are full of grammar points. There are actually maybe 10% activities that can activate those grammatical points. Those grammar points never activated in our course books. So the main problem is actually in the designing of those course books. People who have designed those course books are experts, are not actually typical people. They are experts. So I don't know why these course books are not designed the way that after, I don't know, studying for 5 or 6 years, learners cannot communicate and they need just going to language schools, institutes to learn English. So school books do not actually help and do not serve any purpose except university exam. Because, you know, when learners finish their education, they graduate from a school, they should participate in a university exam entrance, which is called concours. So concours is that exam which is needed to take part, and you should have actually, I don't know, a specific rates in order to enter to good actually universities in Iran. So those course books are just written to let's say deal with that exam. But in a real life situation, learners never ever cannot actually communicate with anyone.
You don't have access to the traditional course books that are sold by the popular publishers houses. Like, I don't want to name them, but the typical ones that have, you know, number 1, 2, 3, because they are communicative. If you pay attention, they begin like unit 1. It has a name of something that is not grammar, like, for example, my family. And then there is a kind of dialogue, and then there is control practice, and the very final activity is usually something mirroring presentation. As far as I know, course books that are available in the market nowadays are pretty well. It's teachers who don't understand how to use them. It's not the books sometimes.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but Carol, teachers in Iran are not trained. This is the most important problem. Teachers in Iran are mostly over 45, 50 years old, or in private schools, they are maybe 16 years old, and they do not want to learn something new. They do not want to update their information, and they think that everything that they have learned many years ago is just their right way of teaching. They do not update themselves. This is the most important problem, I think, within our teachers, among us, actually, among us teachers who do not want to update our knowledge. And we just stick to some specific ways of teaching. I know many teachers, my own colleagues, who have been teaching English, the grammar points actually deductively. You know, deductive way of teaching grammar is for about a century ago, but they still do the same. But they still stick to that. Why? Because they think that, oh, I have been teaching for about 3 decades, for 30 years, so I know it better than you. You are inexperienced. I am experienced, and I know after 30 years of teaching. Are you the one who wants to tell me what is wrong and what is right? So this is the mindset. The problem is in the mindset of us teachers, I think, and the students are actually sacrificed. This is the problem, I think. Yeah.
You assess what you want to assess. Maybe you have empirical evidence that your teaching works. For example, I teach like grammar-based. Like not even text, sentence-based. And I focus on, let's say, do and does. You identify do and does. And my test asks you to put do or does. And you do it because you memorize it. So I can prove with very questionable ways that my teaching works because I make exams say what I want them to say. This is a problem sometimes. I can make you believe that my stuff works because I assess what I want. I want my exams to say what I want them to say. That's the thing. But as I said in the first live stream we had, teaching is badly paid. and sometimes
Yeah.
it's hard to criticize people because they are doing what they can. So maybe we can do what I try to do is to influence on the younger generations and hope they change everything.
Exactly. As you've mentioned, that was a very, very important point. You've talked about the payment of teaching. Yeah, in Iran, it is also very low. It is not a well-paying job actually teaching. So that's why mostly teachers prefer not to bring any extra material to the classroom. They do not want to prepare any lesson plans because they say that, okay, I am just paid for 90 minutes. Why should I spend 1 hour, 2 hours, or maybe a whole day preparing extra material to the classroom? Why? The supervisor, the manager does not pay me for that. So why is it so? Why should I actually prepare something more than what is I am paid for? So this is
I can help
another,
you answer
yeah,
that question. I can
yeah,
help you answer that. There's a great text by Howard and Major that is about
yeah,
guidelines to design materials, and they say that there are like many advantages designing materials, such as contextualized. For example, nowadays in my country, there are some topics that are irrelevant. I told you in the other live stream, like telling the time is not relevant. But
yeah.
maybe talking about the environment is because in our town we are kind of worried about the environment. We segregate our garbage, our waste, and we try to get rid of polluting factories, and so that'll be a topic to deal with. And it's not in books.
Yeah.
Personalization of material. Anybody hear us?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, there was a little interruption, I
I'm
think.
sorry. I'm sorry. I have missed some parts. Carol, could you
Yeah.
hear me? Can you help hear me? Sorry.
Now yes, perfect. But I don't know
Okay.
how long ago you
That's
checked
great.
in.
I think yeah that is just the internet connection. So I am trying to. Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I don't know
Carol.
what you mean.
You were talking about that answer to my question that I told you why should I actually prepare some material for something that is not paid for, and you were talking about a book. Would you please repeat your sentences? Sorry.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. I was citing Howard and Major, two ladies
Yeah.
that wrote a great article, very short, and they gave lots of advantages to design, advantages and disadvantages. You need to be careful with it, and it's not
Yes.
something you do every. You should design like a good lesson for a month, and that's okay. The rest you can deal with the grammar and the book. For it's like comfort books. You need that. It's a comfort zone. You can't put people out of the comfort zone for every single lesson because you go crazy. So my advice is choose one topic that you enjoy a lot and you plan it and you design materials that you can reuse and recycle and well, exploit it. And then you keep it. Next year you design another creative lesson. And again, that's something, then you have, after I've been working 22 years now. So I have like a lot of resources, but it's because I've
Yes.
been designing something. You can't start from scratch. At the beginning, beginner teachers need to stick to the book. There's no way out. It's the only way. And they say, these two authors, that materials allow contextualization. So you can deal with topics that are meaningful for your students in that place, that time, that age, that everything. For example, I don't know if you heard the example, my town is pretty green, eco-friendly. So I don't know, we do a lot of waste segregation and we defend the environment. And well, if there is a unit about that, exploit it. Do videos
Exactly.
from internet, other stuff. Ask them to write something, messages about our town. And also personalization. They say that when you design your own materials, you can give them your personal touch. And this is great because it's yourself through materials. For example, I love superheroes, like a lot, all of them. So I put superheroes. It's just, to put superheroes, it's a way on when they say something about that, I can make a comment in English. And because they understand what I said, because they want to know about me, that was a moment of communication that happened through material. Or I can decide to talk about things that I want to talk about. I'm comfortable with, I enjoy, and it's easier to make them enjoy something that I enjoy myself. If I don't like it, nobody's gonna like it. Not really.
Yeah.
So you should enjoy it to do it.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
It's your
That was a
hobby.
great. Yeah, that was great explanation. Thank you very much. Yeah. Let's talk about designing material for the course books. So, what is your opinion? Is that always necessary, needed to bring some materials, extra materials to the classroom besides the book, so that it can cover some parts of the book which lacks actually activities to activate some parts of the grammar? So, what do? Is that something that you always do, or no? Just it depends.
I don't think it's always necessary, and I myself don't have the time to do it. But I do believe that presentation is a key moment. So when you present a topic, to activate prior knowledge, to engage the student, or to make presentation more meaningful and memorable, you should invest time. That's the moment when your materials matter. And I believe that if you pay attention to course books carefully, I think they assume you're going to do a lot more than just that. Not necessarily material design or a lot of effort, but if there is an activity, maybe you need to do something before, or repeat it, or drill it, or exploit it. It's not just let's go quickly and skip the most important parts. That's a problem. That's bad use of textbook, especially when teachers choose one activity from the whole unit, the one that is more concrete, and they skip the rest that is the most interesting. So we shouldn't go so fast with all the textbooks. Not that
Yeah.
fast. Like
Unfortunately, one of the most famous language schools, institutes, actually English institutes in Iran, they have prefabricated lesson plans. Every minute of your teaching is decided, is predetermined. So there's kind of a limited structure. Everything is, for example, planned. You should start from, I don't know, this to that. At 10 minutes after your class, you should do this. So everything is pre-decided, predetermined for you, and you don't have any decision, any actually freedom to do something that may happen actually out of anticipation. Actually, out of hand, something may happen, but you don't have any freedom. So, and this institute is very, very famous in Iran. I don't know, maybe it has more than 5,000 language learners, or maybe 10,000 language learners. I don't know, because it's a very, very old actually language school in Iran. I'm telling you, your lesson plans for every session is prepared beforehand. So I think there is nothing for the teacher to do, because the teacher is a kind of robot. It's not a human, because you should follow the steps that are predetermined for you.
well, you can put a smile on your face and do your best within those limits. If there's nothing else you can do, then I don't know, enjoy it. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, enjoy it. Yeah, we have to enjoy it. So, have you ever experienced such kind of situation that everything is determined for you beforehand? Or no,
I mean,
everything is...
unfortunately, it's always been super free to decide. Everywhere in the language school, all my principals have been very open-minded as regards teaching. There are other limitations, of course, but not what to teach and how to teach it. Fortunately, never.
No, I don't know. This is also another kind, one kind of language schools actually. So, for the last question, Carol, could you please tell me what factors, what elements are important while designing our own materials? to bring to a class? What factors do you think are important actually?
Okay, well, you need to consider how much time and money it costs to design it, how many times you will be able to reuse or recycle that material. So let's say you use a poster, and there are some, for example, I teach English and Portuguese, just an example. So if I put words in English on the poster, I can't use it for my Portuguese lesson. Just an example like that. Or if I put words, let's say I teach food, and there's a picture of the food and the name below. Well, if you put the name on the picture, then you can't use it again, because maybe one day you want to use it for something else. So I would consider designing, once I invest time designing material, I want to reuse it a lot. And also because it's good for them. If you present something with flashcards, and you can reuse the flashcards later on to retrieve what they remember or to assess, it's great. And I would also consider how good it looks, because sometimes we are not designer experts, like design, like graphic design. And sometimes materials that you design look bad, like not good. So in those cases, I would choose something online or something that it should appeal to the student. It has to be well designed. That's also that also matters.
Okay. What about you? When you design a material for your classes, is there anyone who actually check them before you present it in the classroom? I don't know, the supervisor, a mentor, someone like that, or no, just you are the one who designs and presents those materials?
Again, I'm so free. They don't. When you're a student teacher, of course, the teacher in charge of the practice thing is going to supervise your materials. But once we're finished, I don't know, maybe teachers work. I don't know if somebody's here like who works in an elementary school. I think they are more supervised. But not my.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you for assigning your time. That's great actually to have a live talk with you. I hope that you're doing well, and we actually finished this horrible actually period of time. And after that, you told me that you love traveling and you may come to Iran, and we can have our live talk here. Yes. Okay.
We can have some. I can teach some lessons the way I teach, so you can see by yourself.
Great. Dear Carol, could you please tell us just a sentence about our language school, IHE, Inventive House of English?
I wanted to say you are inventive, but it's like probably to nothing. So I can say that you seem to be working very hard and trying very hard to find a way out of routine and traditional teaching. Okay, that's great.
That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Take care.
Okay, see you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Ma cuciniamo.